एक आर्मी वाले को देते हैं आपको।
अरे ये शेषु जी है ना, ये भी आर्मी से है, मतलब हमारा बिग बाउंसर वही है।
अच्छा,
अरे शेषु जी नहीं पता क्या? शेषुकर, शेषुकर।
Requesting all of you to please join at the main stage. Thank you so much. Before we call the chief guest and other guests of honors, we are having a 2 to 3 minutes small event to inaugurate this bus, which is called as Gran Turismo, where this bus will go to 3 to 4 districts in Telangana state. So please be here at the bus area when the chief guest actually inaugurates this yatra. All the team members will be talking to different individuals across the state. So I request the chief guest, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale sir to, I can't, just, that's okay. So, Vidika, please.
Sir, all of you, please just get on.
So Ramsamy sir.
Please, sir, please come.
This for camera. This for camera.
There is no flag off today, but there is a different way of actually. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Sir, we would like you to wish us well. Sir, we would like you to wish us well. Please say bon voyage so we can start.
Bon voyage.
Diwali. I'll take you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Yeah. So I request all of you to reach to the main stage. Thank you so much. Copy something also. requesting all the startups, innovators, scientists, whoever is there, please join at the main stage. Hi, Vivek.
So are the vocational people.
I request all of the startups and their team members standing outside, please be seated. Vijay, please be seated. So, good evening to all of you. Welcome to this grand event at AIC-CCMB. Today, we mark these celebrations by considering our 5-year journey so far with the support of course, our host organization CSIR, CCMB and Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog. So, I request today's guests and also of course our chief guest and other delegates. So first now I'd like to call upon Dr. Vinay Nandikuri, Director KP Knowledge Park, DST, Government of India. And now I call Chintan Vaishnav, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav. So I request everybody on the dais, off the dais to stand up for the national anthem, please.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जय जय हे जय 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 हे
Jai Hind. Thank you very much. So, as many of you are excited today to know why AIC-CCMB is celebrating, what they are celebrating, and what kind of achievements they have kind of achieved till date. Maybe you got the flavor already when you see the technology showcase out there and some of the statistics that have been presented in the posters. But yes, it's time that a brief journey of how this journey started and where the seeds have been sowed, and today we are seeing some kind of small achievements that we have today. I request Dr. Madhusudan Rao, CEO of AIC-CCMB, to brief about the programs that we have and the journey so far that we had today, and he'll be welcoming all of you formally as well.
Good evening. Good evening, the dignitaries on the stage, for being with us. This is a very proud moment for us. This is 5 years of our completion of Atal Incubation Center. And thank you all for being with us. We were handling a project called CRTD. I think that was a big boost because that was an excellent initiative to support startups. And CCMB being a biology-focused place, the Atal Incubation Center focus has been on the life sciences and biotechnology. So we began in 2017, and we kind of learned because we were also a startup in a way, an incubator that is a startup, because we didn't have any prior history of supporting entrepreneurs or startups. So we had to set up all the paperwork, the processes in place, and also establish a facility with a grant that came from AIC. And then for next couple of years, we were trying to meet our dashboard deliverables, for example. One of the things we committed ourselves was how many incubators we will be looking after and things like that. We met all those timelines. So the journey has been very, very important for us. And one of the motive for taking up this particular initiative at CCMB was, CCMB has been in existence to overcome some of these issues. The next slide, please. So if you look at key performance indices, which is what the parent institute or the agency that gives us the money looks at, we've been able to meet those requirements. But all of us know these key performance indices is kind of is only tell you part of the story. How many graduated, how much money was raised, all these are important, but at the same time there are so many indices that don't tell you exactly the social impact of our existence. So we were trying to meet those requirements. We want to bring in as many life science startups as much possible and provide a very flexible model so that all of them can be accommodated in our scheme of things. So we were very happy with what we have done so far, but I just want to briefly tell you the kind of programs we got involved in during this last 5 years. So in terms of developing and assessing the diagnostic kits, and also we took a project from CSIR on mRNA vaccines and also rare disease mitigation. And based on our performance, there are some fundings that have come along with seed funds, which were very important to attract more startups. This has been something that is a very important contribution from various agencies, including NSTDB and also Startup India seed funds and things like that. And one of the very interesting projects we were involved was in wildlife forensics, where we wanted to take some of these technologies to places where they are needed. So we are collaborating with University of Kashmir to do this. One of the other major activity, which is last thing I mentioned in this slide, is on human predictive model systems. Fortunately, here today we have an EMBO conference on microphysiological systems. Actually, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale was part of it today, some time ago. We want to support those activities that help reducing the usage of animals in development of drugs. So that's one activity we were involved. What I was trying to get at by saying all these instances is, though we started as an incubation center to begin with, probably we have set our processes in place and we are able to do it very well, I guess. So the next stage for us is in the academic ecosystem to the extent possible, and also partnering with investors and fund management, because that could be one of our sustainability model. The profile needs and needs of the industry and the leads in the academic institutes for effective tech matching, and we want to be the catalyst for new initiatives. As I said about wildlife forensics is one example, but we wanted to be part of it because the support system that we had from CCMB is so excellent. We can get into different areas of things. So I am very thankful to various agencies that came to us in supporting, and the credits is, as I said, I'm as good as the team that I have. I've been well supported my team. I'm not going to take names, but there are a good list of names. And lastly, I'll thank the directors of CCMB, past and present. Rakesh was very crucial in the initiation of the activity. Dr. Vinay has been very supportive in our efforts. And I thank all of you for being here. And thank you very much. And hope you will be part of our next fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Madhu. I know any academic incubator, there will be a lot of challenges that we have, and host organization support is very much important, even it's a government academic organization or even private organization. So here, AIC-CCMB is very fortunate to have CCMB as an umbrella institute to support not only the infrastructure and facilities, but mentoring and whatnot. So I'd like to invite now Dr. Vinay K. Nandikuri, Director of CCMB, to say a few words. Vinay, please.
For all the dignitaries, thank you for coming. And congratulations to AIC for completing the 5 years. This is kind of taken off during Rakesh's time and spearheaded by Madhu very, very well, that these activities of now 80 companies have gone through this AIC. What we have to now focus is on what's ahead. The next 5 years is where we should be putting focus on expanding what we already have with the existing space that we have right next door to something much bigger, where we can have this industry academia collaboration taken to the next level. That's one thing that I would like to, me and Madhu, Ramji and all have in common as our vision for where to take it forward. It's among CSIR institutes, there are not that many incubation centers. I think to the best of my knowledge, there are 3. One in Pune, which started much earlier, and one in IIM Jammu, and AIC. AIC is the youngest among all, and more biology-oriented incubation center, and he has done tremendously well to grow from where it was. This space was not realistically used that effectively prior to this CRTDH, during that time, and later on AIC came up here. And when I came here in 1 year ago, the place we found, I found this to be very impressive. I had first time, I was very impressed by the way it has been developed. And it can be a model for any other CSR institute, for that matter, any institute, if they want to set up some kind of an incubation center in going forward in their own institutes. And really, that's basically, we would like to, as I was saying, we would like to put emphasis on taking it forward rather than, patting ourselves on the back for what we have done. So our basic emphasis would be, let's see what best we can do in the next 5 years. And I thank once again Professor Ramaswamy and Dr. Rajesh Gokhale.
So I request Dr. Rakesh Mishra, Director of TICS and former Director of CCMB, please.
Thank you, Ramji, and all the dignitaries on the dais and the friends there. We are passing through a period where our main we are all aware that genomics and genome editing technologies are really going to make a change what we will eat tomorrow and how our health will be taken care. And all these are there for us to grab. AIC-CCMB, or the interaction with industry in this campus, was in this vision that we have to use the science and translate as much as possible, and that cannot be done by an academic institution. So we need involvement of industry and startups in a major way. And any good technology will come from good institutions, so where the top quality fundamental research is being done. From there the technology comes, which can then go to the masses. And even established technology, to optimize it to our own needs, requires involvement of quality scientists. And that puts AIC-CCMB in a very, very unique and advantageous position over many other hundreds of incubators that have come. So it's not only really an incubator, it is a place where we anticipate technology and science to come for societal use. And I'm very happy to see how this place has developed, and I'm even more excited listening to what Vinay just said, that CCMB plans to expand this activity. We already have land, and there is once intent is there, and we have basic amenities. I think we have great journey, great future ahead, and I really look forward to, and we'll be very happy to be part of any of these activities. It's so nice to see things growing and young people making progress, developing technologies. And I'm also expecting CCMB scientists who do quality research to get involved at least partly and help the startups and incubators here, so that not only their problem gets resolved, they get motivated, and I'm sure a new and more impactful technology will come with those, and something I'm happy that something is already happening in this direction. So I look forward to success stories coming out from this campus. And I'd like to congratulate Madhu for leading all this and bringing up to this, and of course other staff. So thank you very much, and we look forward.
Thank you, Rakesh. Life science ecosystem, though having its own challenges, our country has set some examples of model life science parks, and one such life science premier park, first of its kind park in India, has been built by one of the guest of honors amongst us, Deepanita Chattopadhyay, with us. I think, it's not like a typical traditional incubator, but also supported several multinational companies today that have been anchored, and still a lot of companies are operating in India. Means I think that's the set model for us, and we all incubators in India got kind of inspired by it. So Deepanita ma'am, please, we'd like to hear more, and we need your blessings, of course.
Thank you, Ramji. Thank you for this invitation. This is a great moment. You know why? I was counting the things we do together, and Madhu, you would know what are these. And I've counted the fives, the top fives for me. A person, and Dr. Madhusudan Rao has been one of our very trusted reviewers of all our PIG programs and other programs for the last 20 years almost. So that's the relationship. And of course, I have to say, all the directors of CCMB, right from the ex-directors, Dr. Balasubramaniam, we've had a very good relationship. So that's a special plus. The third is the relationship with the startups. An incubator cannot run without the startups, and many of the startups have been co-incubated at collaboration. If I can talk of two institutional collaborations. One is the COSI lab that Dr. Madhusudan Rao talked about. It is a forensic lab that has been set up in the Kashmir University with AIC-CCMB, CCMB Lacons, and IKP, and of course Kashmir University as partners. Our role there is to help technology development to aid forensic and environmental protection. The second project that we are doing together is for the entire Hyderabad and Telangana region. All the incubators have come together, and there's a program that and IKP are leading. So these are the 5 different kinds of collaboration that's happening. So I'm very proud to be here, and I'm not an outsider, I'm an insider. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Past few decades have been blessed with some of the visionaries that we have in India, and especially in the innovation ecosystem, maybe about 25-30 years before, I don't even imagine now, today, how they started something like this, and how some kind of programs can be planned, designed such a way, starting from student innovators to industries can actually get nurtured with the support of Government of India. So those are the fruits, probably some of them we are seeing today, and such visionaries that we have, amongst us, Dr. H.K. Mittal sir. I think every startup or the companies that we have in India, and most of the incubators or every incubators, they will be, sir. So please, I have to, just a second. I think, Mittal sir, what he has done to the country, that's what we are seeing today, sir. Please, sir.
Thank you, Ramji. First of all, I must acknowledge the presence of great dignitaries here, both on the dais, off the dais. Especially, I would like to mention my mentor and guide, Dr. Ramaswamy. The programs which he is a scientist, but I'm not a scientist myself. So one thing I have observed is that we as scientists, since I've worked almost 30 years with DST, I have started calling myself also as a scientist, and that's how they have put doctor also against my name, which I am not. But let me tell you, this incubation center is not 5 years old. CCMB was an incubator when the first vaccine was developed. Today, we call India as the vaccine capital of the world. It was CCMB who helped Shanta Biotech and Bharat Biotech to develop that. Had they come to us maybe 20 years ago with this statement that we have incubated these two companies, we would have given them support even without a presentation. So this is one tagline you must have in your presentation henceforth for any presentation. So this is number one advice I would like to give you. Now there's number two advice. So I have aged, so I can only give advice. The next advice I have is that your honeymoon period is over at 5 years. The support which you were supposed to get from the government is over now. So now tomorrow you will have to think towards earning your own bread. You said, Ramji, that you are a startup. A startup has to stand on its own feet in 5 years, certainly. The problem you have is that you deal with people who are going to be rich. They are not rich today. So you are dealing with poor people today who themselves are looking for funds. So where will they give you money from? The only thing they have is a piece of paper which you call equity, which can be realized only after 5 to 7 years. So you must have a definite plan to first feed your tummy. Then we will talk about something else. So this is a very crucial period. I have seen incubators fumble during this period. So please be a startup. That's what you said. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mittal. It's time to mention about a national mission that started in 2017, where it's kind of, gigantic today to support several other incubators and institutions, even schools, through ATLs and ACICs and AICs and EICs. So in that national mission, we actually grown up and did something, but it's my request to Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, Mission Director of Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, to say a few words about this.
Thank you, Ramji. Well, it's a great privilege to be here. And I must say that, I was looking forward to come to CCMB for quite a while, and a couple of times I wasn't able to make it. But today, as I came here, I didn't realize that actually timing is even better than I had imagined, because this whole idea of high five to next five is applicable, and the whole idea of what Harkesh ji said about being a startup and not falling in your own valley of death is applicable to Atal Innovation Mission also. So, because this is one of our first startups, and so from that perspective, I want to pose you a question. Many congratulations to CCMB for what they've done. So they deserve a great sort of kudos for it. Of course, this is also a testament to dedicated effort. About the following setting, I mean, all of you know that the R&D spending is low, right? We know that. Now, despite that, how can we create the next set of deep tech incubators, hubs, centers, whatever you want to call it? How are we going to create that? If you look at the moment you say this, one of the pitfalls is that people say, oh, we're already doing that. I have to bite my tongue and not say, no, we are not yet doing it. Right? But if we want to think about, deep tech incubation, let me first say what I mean by deep tech, because that term gets thrown around in many contexts. So to me, a deep tech startup is one where the journey of the startup itself creates new knowledge, whether it's a scientific knowledge or technical knowledge. Right? We have recently experienced one such idea, which was the COVID vaccine, very rapidly done. So it's not about application of existing knowledge, but it's no matter how complex that may be. This is creation of new knowledge through the journey of a startup. So when you pursue something like that, then you are going to necessarily experience a greater scientific uncertainty. You are going to experience a deeper and wider valley of death. You are going to experience a greater sort of challenge in terms of the market penetration, because many of these ideas may be disruptive ideas and are going against the incumbent ways of doing things and so on. So that is what one is in something. So in other words, if we left CCMB or incubators like that alone for 10 years, will they just arrive and become new tech incubators? Or would we have to be intentional about doing that? And to me, this really has implications for structure of it, right? For the functions it performs, for the culture, the way we think about it. Because now if you're talking about doing everything sort of an order of magnitude greater, so instead of giving a startup 2 crore, instead of 2 crores, giving them 20 crores, 30 crores at a time, for example. Instead of supporting them for 3 years, supporting them for 10 years at a time, and so on. Can our current structure get us there? Or must we rethink the way we do things? That's an open question, right? That's an open question that has direct implications for us, direct implications for how much money you ask of the cabinet. So we really have to answer this question, because we'll have to then say, okay, therefore we need this kind of support and so on. But I truly think that a place like this, I mean, having spent time in Cambridge, Massachusetts for many years, I know that the bioscience cluster in Cambridge, Massachusetts, this cluster can be that cluster. That's absolutely clear to me. I think it's just a question of how do we get there. My one micro suggestion for the next 5 is the following, that I think the first step in that direction may be to create a small yet effective and independent board that has people who have done it. I mean, with us, right? I'm happy to be a part of it just to learn, not because I have any answers, but I think that we may be the first step in that direction. But that open question, if you have any thoughts on it, this is the time for Atal Innovation Mission to hear them. So feel free to write. And once again, many congratulations. Wonderful work. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Chintan. India has, again, several leaders, 3-4 decades before, I think, they kind of foreseen India very differently. And they spearheaded various organizations to bring in this culture. And such leaders today we have amongst us Professor T. Ramaswamy, who is a former director of CLRI and of course former secretary to DST. So I request Padma Bhushan Sri Ramaswamy sir to say a few words.
I'm a grand old man, and my friend Arkesh said, as you get old, you give advice. When you are young, you do things. I'm older than him. Therefore, I think I need to be careful that I don't fall into that category of advising without responsibility. The greatest, easiest thing in life is to advise without responsibility and accountability. And I'm enjoying that freedom as a retired man. And my friend Harkesh called me a mentor. I was afraid he's going to call me a tormentor. Therefore, I'm glad he didn't use such terms. And my friend Ramji was saying that I have been part of this old hand. When we were directors of CSIR labs, Mashakar used to be called Alibaba and we called Charlie's Chore. So I belong to that generation of leaders in this country. These are all young guys and therefore they are not in this chore category. And I'm also very happy to see this crowd. I'm an out man out. All these fellows have some company business. There you talk about company. I have only company I have with their company. I have not run any business. That's my strength. But on an occasion such as this, you participate knowing well you are incompetent in this. Because the person who called you is a friend of yours. So Madhu writes a letter and he writes a letter, I learned a lot of things from you. I have not learned myself. Therefore, I am going to share with you on this special occasion 3 things. First of all, let me congratulate. Congratulate the CCMB first, before AIC. Because in our time, we used to think CCMB is a money guzzler. Because investments per scientist of CSIR, the highest was a CCMB. So my friend Pushparga used to call jewel in the crown of Indian science. The jewel is very nice, but other Sharmas, the fellows who make leather, they need to look at something else. But that was a phase of CCMB where knowledge for its own beauty was celebrated. Knowledge for its own beauty is very important for any cultural evolution of a civilization. So the civilizational process requires to celebrate the beauty of knowledge. So that has been the signature of the contribution CCMB is to make. There are fellows working in leather, food and all that. We have to do some groundwork and get some money as well. But here is a very good occasion when Kesh points out that Shanta Biotech toured here. And this entire success of India as a vaccine leader took nucleus right here. So that was a spring of knowledge. If you take Kaveri, a nice thing to talk about Kaveri in Hyderabad, not in Karnataka, for a Tamilian. Therefore, the spring of water which comes, Talai Kaveri, is a very small stream. But it collects surface water and finally it becomes a mighty flowing river. And the farmers think that they are actually eating Kaveri water. They are not having Kaveri water. I think institutions like CCMB had contributed to the spring of knowledge. And therefore they were not able to relate to the kinds of applications that lead to. Now this AIC is another evolution of the CCMB to recover, correct the surface water, collect other skills which are required to add value to that knowledge, and convert that knowledge into knowledge for prosperity, not just for knowledge, the beauty of knowledge alone. Knowledge for prosperity is a much more difficult job. The knowledge has to undergo truly, for to be celebrated, knowledge has to be converted into know-how. The know-how needs to be converted into show-how. The show-how needs to be converted into do-how. And the do-how eventually becomes the use-how. Development of knowledge into know-how happens in the laboratory. The transition process of the show-how is a difficult process. And that's where this startup, enterprises, all those entities operate. Unlike enterprise, startup is an entity. Enterprise need not become a company, but startup is a company. So you back up certain resources in this process, so this Atal innovation on all those innovation processes is essentially methods of financing, bring in the hard money, soft money mix to ensure that the risk is covered. This financing is not easy. And the government, the government is a very nice process. They have all the good intention. The money flow is very sticky. It doesn't flow. But if you have a startup activity, money doesn't flow, the polo will die. Therefore, this question of bringing this resource at that process is critical. And let me say, whenever we talk about this country, tech transfer does not happen. And I'm going to change this. Madhu has been preparing for this history exam. And I'm going to change the exam into geography. Tech transfer is an outmoded concept. Please move away from the tech transfer model. Tech transfer tells you there is a donor, there's an acceptor, there's a giver, taker. And it's a transaction based. You transact knowledge for money. And the transaction processes in a risk-averse society like India, culturally suited into a risk-averse society, will be complicated. But I believe it is easy to overcome because India's strength is trust in relationships. The best model, the best unit of India is family, not government, not labs. Family is so that this prove a case that it does work. When I was in Jurassic times, I was young. At that time, I was the head of the Chemical Sciences Division in the Leather Institute. I said, I am now discussing 30 years ago. I said, we will move away from tech transfer model and moved into technology relationship model. There are 14 companies which are making chemicals for leather industry in the country. They have a group. So every 3 years, we'll meet in Bombay. We'll do brainstorming. What kind of knowledge, what kind of technology will be useful for the sector on a global space. Not individual company, global space. Since nobody is going to make investments, the companies will be very happy to ask for the moon because they don't have to put any money. Then I'll go back to the institution, get my colleagues in the institution to break down into a kind of programs and projects and get a group of people to work on those ideas
And 6 months later, we'll invite the companies to CLR, right? And each project leader will present, I have made this, I made that, show small bottles or something else. Okay? Now they are making presentations to the companies. These companies will listen. Believe me, in our company, I am now discussing pre-90s or 90s. They will never open the mouth in the meeting because they don't want the competitors to know what they are interested in. All the 14 are sitting, no, they'll keep quiet. But their personal secretary, they will work with my personal secretary, fix up an appointment separately for each one of them. And they will come back and say, I want this, I want that. Since they are dependent on so much, I used to manipulate them very well, so that they don't compete with each other, distribute the systems. Then from then on, they will actually sponsor that development. And the sponsorship is such that they cover the money that I spent in 6 months development also. And the technology generated from it, CSIR permits you to give them exclusive rate for 3 years. We developed 36 technologies in a span of 5 years, and 29 got commercialized, which is a pretty high rate. This is one side. Today, by this model, I can say without exaggeration, the turnover from the industries that I had personally, not as a director, as a scientist, put technologies at turnover 15,000 crores. And my CSIR investment is tuppence. Therefore, what I would suggest to you in a sector like yours, use a mixed model. Wherever it is possible, for example, vaccine sector. Today, India is a leader in vaccine sector. We are not in the backlog. This question here is, how do we position ourselves in this unit where the startup companies that you're doing, these entities are really the show-how part of that component. So that the deep pocket companies will look at these startup activities in vaccines to provide the critical jump from the state of financing process. In startup, the major process is not technology. It is essentially resource, finance, risk finance. I was telling Madhu before I came here, I'll finish this, because I've spoken longer than I had planned to give. I have started looking at a technology product as a button. And we want the companies to stitch a shirt around the button. You have button, all right. Maybe fantastic, nice button. Owned in environments like ours. You have to go back and ask a question, where is the need? With one small anecdote, I'll complete it to you. In 2009, it was Indian Science Congress in Shillong. I was the president. Indian Science Congress, Children's Science Congress, then the president, the great friend of children, took ill, so he couldn't come. If you are a president, even if not a president, all my life I had to substitute people. So Kalam couldn't come, I substituted him in that process, Children's Science Congress process. And it turned out there was one fellow sitting in the front row called Pranav Vembati. He's a Hyderabad fellow. And this guy was a Children's Science Congress participated. Those days, I could never convince people like Arkesh Mittal to do what I want them to do. But children were innocent, no. So they took my address of innovations being socially relevant in the context in which India is located. Innovation, not for a global space, but innovation has to have a context in which India's development phase is linked, and it has to make a social sense, not only economic sense. This fellow took it seriously. Then he went and put up a startup company. And when he became a graduate, then he came with an idea. He took me as a mentor, truly. And he came back with an idea that he's going to develop a robotics which will help the people, stroke-affected people, to climb the staircase. You won't make money out of this. It's very complicated. So look at a product where you don't need any marketing. Because marketing is creating a demand. Selling is meeting a demand. So you get a product which is sell. So he got into development of a bionic arm. This bionic arm he is developed. It cost 3 lakhs. And the corresponding product is 65 lakhs. Today, he has been ranked as one of the under 30 Forbes list in the world, and he has a product, and the product got the attention of the Prime Minister's office. The PM has decided to launch the product, and he, the very clever guy, he went to the corporate guys and made them all accept 100 companies sponsor one arm for affected persons. He convinced them the guy who gives this sponsor for arm also will hire that person. He created employment also. And he is 29. His company is now evaluated at 300 crores. And I believe Google offered him 1,000 crores. He decided not to sell. So therefore, those of you who are on the startup entities, kindly look at the possibility of not scaling for the sake of volume, but for the value. And the value is an economy of scope issue. Find the scope for your product, not the scale, and the money will flow. Because my friend is sitting in Niti Aayog, has all the money in his control. So I don't think in this country money is a problem. Really the right approach. I wish you all the very best. I wish CCMB the very great things, because they moved from one level to another, and I'm very happy to see the two successive directors of CCMB actually not only watching but supporting this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ramsamy. Wonderful words, and of course, a lot of inspiration from you. Now we are all waiting for the chief guest address, and as again, past so many years, we need a lot of support from the government side, especially the niche areas like life sciences, biotechnology, and we have Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India, and I request Dr. Rajesh Gokhale sir to deliver his address. Thank you, Rajesh.
Okay, all right, okay. Namaskar, and thank you very much for inviting me here. This is, it's always very difficult to speak after profound lecture what Professor Ramaswamy gives, actually, as in his usual enigmatic style. I've learned lots of things from him, actually. In fact, when I was a director of an institute, I always thought that there were three best secretaries in India that had during that period of time: Dr. Ramaswamy, Dr. Bhan, and Dr. Brahmachari. And I think a lot of good things that have happened over those years is what making all this tick in our government right now, and much of what we are following us on his footsteps, actually. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for showing the directions to the nation. And hopefully we can, do something beyond what you thought about, actually. Also, congratulations, CCMB and this Atal Innovation Mission Center. I think, I know this is, it's always exciting to do new things, actually. And, every time I move to a startup kind of situation, I just remember my own excitement to set up a startup company in 2010. And that was a time when there were no incubator space available. There was nothing of that kind, The whole idea of startup companies was thought to be utterly crazy. Luckily, government had just come out with some regulations saying scientists can start their companies, and like a crazy young guy at that time, I think everything is a learning. In fact, I want every single company that closed down to celebrate its failure, actually. That's the only way we can demonstrate that innovations is the key to what one can develop and determine the value of it, actually. So I thought I'll put together some slides, and this was just from a perspective of what Department of Biotechnology wants to do in terms of its futuristic innovation, because I just thought to put together some of the thoughts and ideas. And I think the whole idea really is can we boost biotechnology as India as an innovation nation? And all of you would have seen, in fact, in last 1 year, in fact, the main question that emerges as I take up the office is how can India be a serious competitor in the foundational technologies of 21st century actually. And as a scientific department, this is what I think we should really focus on. And again, see the word that I use is serious competitor. What we have always done is been participatory in terms of our mechanism by which we have adopted technologies and how we carry out further processes really. So as I said, leadership comes in different flavors, and Vinay, Madhu, and several others, and our dear old friend Rakesh, who's been known for several years, have done fantastically this stuff to set up this place. I think that the challenges that we all want to solve and resolve is really comes in 4 different technology sectors, which all countries need to path and really doing what it takes to do the best. What I have just give you a flavor of what our country can in fact do, and this is something that is really to be proud. So you can see the bioeconomy in 2021 grew from $70 billion to $80 billion actually. And with a CAGR of about 12%, which is actually the highest for any growth industry that has happened in the last period. We administered about 4 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines per day in this country. So if you ever thought that our mechanisms of taking it to the people are poorer, you can take this as an example. It's possible to do it if all the people get together. I mean, just imagine the number of 4 million doses actually. And so it accounts for 1.45 billion doses for 2021. Then we conducted about 1.3 million COVID tests each day in 2023 actually. Again, humongous numbers just to imagine what country offers. I mean, this is something really to be proud of our country, what we've been able to do. And why all of these has happened primarily is because we have invested in infrastructure, we have invested in capabilities, we invested in people, and we have mechanisms that are in place to be able to carry out. Many of us, Professor Ramaswamy just said actually, that you always celebrate the end point of the game. But none of this would have been possible without the investments that has gone in the humongous amount of capacity that has been. Every single clinical trial has been done in institutions across our countries, where various assays, animal challenge models, cell line assays, all the regulatory work has been carried out. And much of this, as in typical if you really look at us, is if a Bollywood movie becomes successful, the only thing that people talk about is actors and actresses actually. And everybody forgets the script, everybody forgets the producer, the director, and that's how the vaccine story is as well actually. If we have what we see here today is because of what Department of Biotechnology in fact has done in vast amount of, along with all the institutions in our country to be able to enable these activities. In fact, all the 5 vaccines have somehow or the other gone through various institutions of progresses. And obviously the model that we are all looking forward to now is the public-private co-creation model of success, which is actually the major challenge of how we'll be able to carry out these activities. So how do we transform our journey actually in the bioeconomy sector? And in last about a year's time that we have been there, what I've been trying to follow up is what all we can empower such that younger people and younger generations can take it up as early as possible. I mean, one of the key areas, as I said, is the agriculture. And many of you will be shocked to hear that we import you spend enormous amount of money to import mustard oil, which is what thought to be one of the biggest attribute in India now actually. And that is because despite having a GM mustard crop that we had in our country for almost 12 to 15 years sitting in our closet. Now, if you don't enable science and technology policies, then obviously the country will face challenges of these kinds because you're not allowed to actually do this. Whereas countries like Australia, where there is a consumption of mustard oil is 0, you in fact have a technology enabled them to be able to do enable these crops. So the GM crop stories, incidentally, so happened in last 2 days. The government has given approval for this process, and we have carried out these activities over a period of time. What we've also been able to do is to get gene editing activated so that gene editing varieties are. Remember, this is such an empowering came for cervical cancers and genome editing to address food security problem. And I think all the guidelines and everything is available in Department of Biotechnology websites, and in fact everybody can follow. As Dr. Ramaswamy said, guzzlers of consortium. And we plan to sequence in about a year's time 40 lakh genomes of Mycobacterium tuberculosis to understand what is the drug resistance pattern that is in India. How can we start looking at their transmission rate? How can we start looking at whether the transmission is within individuals or within societies, within people, such that we can very quickly reassign and readjust our dosage and be able to carry out activities. This is the HPV vaccine that I talked to you about, actually an initiative that got started much long time back. In fact, in the middle, there was a vaccine that came in the middle, but again, our vaccine industry is in a fabulous hands. And in fact, only thing we need to do is to empower them and make better and bigger vaccines. I think this is going to be the crucial part for the bioeconomy paradigm shift that we look at. You know what we typically do? We import huge amount of oil or gas, and then we release this as carbon dioxide to the air because we import these gas. So we obviously have buy carbon and then also destroy carbon for our own economy. And then large amount of biomanufacturing waste is actually also burnt or thrown away or discarded actually. So I think one of the paradigm shift that we're going to occur, because our chemical industry is almost a very big industry, 2% of GDP contributes, about 72 to 80,000 molecules are produced by this chemical industry right now in India. Many of these are the downstream events of the petrochemical industry, which is what actually funds these large number of industrial processes. As our gas consumption will start to go down in about a decade's time, it's likely that the prices of the chemical industry will also alter with time actually. So it's going to be very important to empower microbial systems, fermentation systems, and bioprospecting systems to be able to catalyze these large number of manufacturing processes within the country, which we can actually catalyze and carry out technology from the perspective to look at. This is a very interesting slide to look at. What it plots is the GDP per capita in 2011 with the now with the ICT. Even the GDPs have become very, very important for us to understand how the technology adoption, we should be able to do this in country actually. And in the industry 4.0, what we are talking about, if we don't do this balance right, we are going to be in a deep trouble actually. So I think it's very important for us to really nurture and strengthen our own innovation ecosystem, and that's exactly the reason why I'm here for actually. I think it's the young people who are going to do damage to all these technologies in a way that, you know, it completely changes the patterns of how it will emerge in future of time. Just the last slide to show BIRAC was prime example of how all these activities happened over the years. Now more than 100 national and international fellowships, about 75 incubation centers across the country we have, and now we're going to set up incubation centers across the licensing offices we plan to set up in other countries as well. So for example in US and others, to get equity and funds to be going on. We've already have more than 2,000 startups supported, more than 25,000 proposals have come, and 10 lakh students and entrepreneurs are engaged in this activity. So it's a fantastic move along with AIM and BIRAC. I think we have been able to do some really fabulous stuff, and I think it's wonderful for the innovation industry. I just think, don't think anything is a failure. There's no failure in this innovation model. It's all about just pure success. And I think you can see it's across the country. We are spread around at all the places, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. Even 38 aspirational districts have been covered with the big awards that have been given. Finally, how do we do this actually? And clearly we need to come up with some mechanisms of being able to carry out. And I think what we are trying to do right now is to come up with collaborative programs that are of unique kinds, which combines all the capacity and capabilities of high risk and high ambition ideas in a shorter period of time that propels India to a global leader of biotechnology. I think thank you very much all of you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rajesh. Brilliant. I think this is a kind of a path that India is going forward. Thank you so much for your kind words. And before we actually kind of go into the next activities of MOUs exchange and the small awards and all, we missed two kind of eminent personalities today. One is Jayesh Ranjan IAS. He couldn't make it in the last moment. He has some urgent meeting. And another guest is our CSIR DG. She couldn't come. But yes, CSIR-CCMB has been supported by CSIR as a broader umbrella. One representative that we have today is head CSR HRDG, Dr. Geetavani Raisam. Can you please come and say a few words quickly? Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. And on behalf of CSIR, I'm very glad to be here on this historic occasion for AIC-CCMB. My hearty congratulations to the entire team of CCMB and AIC. I think 5 years is a big milestone for an incubation center. And as Professor Ramaswamy said, CCMB was the crown jewel and is the crown jewel of CSIR even today. And it's really a nice step going towards supporting this incubation center. And as people were recounting about CCMB, I think DNA fingerprinting, which we use today, also came from CCMB, and the Samba Masuri rice. And I think apart from fundamental science, there have been many contributions, perhaps, which we ourselves have not acknowledged. And I think this is a step we are going forward, where we are supporting the innovation system, and we look forward to many more such startups coming here. And one of the things which we at CSIR have been doing, and especially as a representative of Human Resource Development Group, I think if you look at entire CSIR's history, more than 1 lakh research scholars have been supported in the country. And I think if you ask any research, anybody associated with research, at some form or the other, they have been associated with CSIR, either by an award or a grant or a fellowship or something, or an internship. So I think when you're talking about the next 5, what's the next 5 in human resource development? That's what I've been asking myself. And I think it's time to change. That's one of the things which I am looking forward to going forward. Can we have something like an innovation fellowship, which we really promote more people and de-risk the process of getting into entrepreneurship? And so there are many startups, and now government is supporting products, but let's support the people also. And that's something which I think, and you need to associate with incubation centers and make them even places for learning for entrepreneurship. That's what I'm looking forward to going forward, and I'm very happy to be here. And again, my best wishes to the entire team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Geeta. And it's mementos time, of course. And I request Dr. Mittal to hand over memento to Professor Ramaswamy. That also can be. Srivasne, co-founder of Succeed. We are kind of, planning for some co-investments because, we are trying to invest now, the 5th year, and how best we can actually plan something in an acceleration mode, especially into the deep tech area. And Succeed is a successful model where they will be supporting deep tech. IHF is one of its kind initiative now. They are kind of making partnerships with several incubators, and they picked initially 3-4 incubators so that any innovator, any startup can actually incubate physically or even virtually with those incubators. And CCMB and AIC-CCMB are the first partners. We actually finished our first cohort as well, especially focusing in the life sciences and also digital healthcare. So that's what about IHF partnership. And third, as I mentioned, the POC level, MVP level, again, healthcare startups are facing challenges in clinical validation, some bedside assistance. So one of the hospitals in Hyderabad, of course, we partnered with Apollo and all, but currently Mallareddy Medical University is offering a lot of such clinical services. And today I call Dr. Kranti because Dr. Bhadra Reddy couldn't make it. In fact, one of the products recently referred, and they are doing this clinical trial, InstaShield, and also other dental implants they are trying to validate there itself. Dr. Kranti? You might have seen that we got CSIR support from SPMCIL and RECL, and we have another CSR support by an IT company called Blaze, and Mr. Kamal Jain is here, and kind of batchmate I came to know to Rajesh in IISc times. So Kamal is a kind of support that we got to support in digital healthcare, any kind of analytics that can help in so being, thank you very much, and being a life science incubator and deep tech incubators, so we always need money, we crave for it. And one of such, what you can say, deal breakers or venture capitalists that we have today. So venture catalyst team, Mr. Kumar Saurabh, is he around? Yeah. So request you to be on the stage. So, as many as the investors that we are partnering, but yes, we are hoping the best to start investments in this. Out of that, some of the, actually, market is not there. So, we kind of, see some of the startups develop their products and they could able to validate, and also they reach to the market and scale up level even globally. So some of the startups we identified today for the product liftoff, few of them got launched, but yes, they are so hungry to even go bigger and bigger. So I'm calling one such startup out of the few, Semantic Web, Ms. Asha Subramanian. They actually developed Sandhi gene variant analysis using CCMB NGS data, more than 100 samples, and they piloted the platform successfully to identify type 1, type 2, type 3 with water purification systems have been developed, and they tied up with Nephroblast and many bigger players. Surya, please. I request Dr. Ramaswamy to hand over this block to CEO Dr. Nasiruddin Kaja, who developed the shrimp disease detection kit. In fact, it's a fantastic product that most of the coastal area people and also AP, Telangana, large fisheries communities prototype and design several medical devices. So that Incumed tied up with Sirf Bio and Huel Life Sciences to make some laboratory instruments and also certain medical devices under progress. So at the moment I call Dr. Varun Reddy and Dr. Shishir. Of course Shishir is not there probably. Varun, you are here? Yeah, maybe Dr. Manjula can come here. And yeah, on behalf of Sirf Bio, Huel Ratnakar, you also have please. Another hand over the platform. Now calling Concetal Life Sciences, SK Dash. I know, sorry, it is there. I shouldn't have mentioned the next name, but Dr. Agargesh is not here, so I just thought of them. Please. Yeah, please come here, Dr. Dash. Extracting anti-malarials from pomegranate peel. I request Dr. Vinay to actually hand over the platform. So much. Yeah, Dr. Rakesh will be handing over. Unfortunately, Agargesh is not here, but the award. Thank you, Rakesh. And now I call upon Jadavji and which one? Surface testing has been done for corona and now aerosol testing is under process. Thank you so much, and quickly we'll go for the next event now. Technology Showcase Awards. Okay, we kind of have seen 35 posters and some of them they displayed and demonstrated the products, and I requested few of the members quickly to pick best 5 innovations. They are not kind of hierarchical, first, second, third and fourth, fifth, etc. But yes, to motivate all other innovators, we kind of have 5 best innovations today. And to hand over. Thanks, Dr. Vinay. And together to hand over the memento to Dr. Archana. Yeah. So other 2 members are not here. So thank you so much, Dr. Ravichandra Beram from Revelations and also Madhav Joshi from IHF. So yeah, we're going to the 5. Memento to our CCMB director, Dr. Vinay. I'm very sorry for that. I request Dipanita ma'am to give the moment to Vinay, please. 5-year journey, and some of the startups, they perform very well and gone global. They strive so hard, and I'm calling 5 startups to receive these 5-star awards. One is Oncosimis Biotech, Rakshidhar and Darshan Reddy. Technologies which are kind of industrially important molecules, which are 3 to 5-fold better yield they shown. So I record a photo. Please be there. Thank you very much. Please stay. I request Human Life Sciences team. Huel is our virtual incubator, but yes, they kind of. Unfortunately, Achira is not here with us, but yes, the 5th one is Magellan Life Sciences. Again, Abhiram could not make it, but last award. I request Meghna to receive the award on behalf of Magellan along with Dr. Madhu. For long time or short time, and now I request Ritika to deliver vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ramji. The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate action of its member. Coretta Scott's King. Indeed, our community thrives because of its members. It is members like Dr. H.K. Mittal, Dr. T. Ramaswamy, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Dipanvita ma'am, Chintan Vaishnav, Jay Shanjan sir, who's been a champion of the Telangana ecosystem. He's not here. So I really want to thank all of the members here on stage for their participation in this event, for taking time out to be here and to encourage us. We began our funding with the AIM grant in 2017. So today actually we are celebrating that. And we want to thank Dr. Ramanan, Ms. Ishita, who have actually shown us the way, they have guided us. And today Dr. Chintan and his team takes us forward. We would also like to thank BIRAC, NSTDB for their Nidhi support. We would like to thank Mighty for the TIDE 2.0 program. And we would like to thank all our corporate partners, SPMCIL, Blaze, and RECL for their generous CSIR support. Trust of our leadership is key and has been the strength of AIC-CCMB from its inception. We are grateful to the unwavering support of Dr. Rakesh Mishra and Dr. Vinay Nandakuri in believing in our vision for AIC-CCMB and giving us the freedom to realize our vision. A huge thank you also to Dr. Manjula Reddy, our board member, for her enthusiasm and her insightful guidance. I also take this opportunity to thank all our board of advisors, whose guidance we value very much. We also believe that we are what we are because of our host organization, and I would like to specially mention Dr. Archana, Dr. Vishnupriya, Dr. Shailaja, Dr. Ramesh sir, Jnana Prakash sir for their support. I also would like to thank Dr. Geeta Vani, HRD CSIR, for her support. I would also like to thank the DG CSIR and our CSIR family for having the conviction in us. Our heartfelt thanks to the CCMB Director's Office, PMO, PRO, PME, BDG, engineering, guest house, transport, instrumentation, lab technical services, canteen and security for their help in organizing all our events and this event as well. We would like to thank Mr. Sagar Kulkarni, Flying Circus, for conceptualizing this event and making sure that it is a grand success. Lastly, I want to thank our partners, everyone from the ecosystem who's here today. Thank you, and we look forward to more engagements like this ahead. Personally, I would like to thank all our team members, my colleagues. I'm going to call them out one by one. Please, I think my colleagues will join me in saying that Dr. Madhu is the best boss ever. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you, guests. We have several other ecosystem players here, and special to see, happy to see our Hyderabad, ecosystem players and leaders, and even Anu Acharya, Vicky, I can call you like that, Vicky brother. So, and of course Vijay from Sadhguru and many other players I can see, and other incubators, Sanjay Bharadwaj and all. So now we all can actually relax for a bit with the light music and can join for the dinner. There is a dinner is arranged in the lawns, especially small announcement for EMBO participants who could able to attend today. So please be with your identity cards so that we can actually understand where are you from. So thank you so much. Thank you all. Thanks, sir.
That's a humongous job. Congratulations.